So with that said, I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Mrigakshi and today I'm going to present cross-site scripting or XSS vulnerability. So before we start, a quick introduction about myself. I'm a student of NYIT, completing my master's in cybersecurity. I worked at Accenture for about 6 years in different teams like DevOps, business analysis and cybersecurity, and will start working with Bugcrowd as a security intern soon. I'm passionate about cyber safe world and I'm very excited to speak here at OWASP Vancouver for the first time. We will discuss an overview of the vulnerability, impacts of the attack, and a few public exploits and measures to prevent XSS. Well, following slides will contain one incorrect slide and I hope you can point that out and just comment in the chat box. So do you know who is Samy Kamkar? Well, now he's a well-known security researcher, but in 2005, Samy is my hero set the description of millions of MySpace accounts. How did this happen? Samy created a JavaScript code that could replicate itself and called Samy Worm. Samy Worm spread it over 1 million victims within 20 hours, and MySpace attack happened in 2005. But even today, XSS is a vulnerability type to keep an eye on. This worm had the ability to spread exponentially as a replica of the code was inserted into every profile that visited the infected profile. Within 24 hours, Samy was bombarded with MySpace users wanting to be his friend and to whom he was their hero. MySpace was forced to shut down and changes to stop Samy Worm code were done. JavaScript and Ajax have an important role to play in this attack. Knowledge of these languages help in executing XSS by manipulating the front end and injecting code into the data channel. A malicious JavaScript can have access to all the objects that the web page has access to. Of course, this includes users' cookies. If you look into this code snippet on the screen, we have divided the code into 3 components. The line 1 and line 3 adds the header and the tail tag respectively. Inner HTML in line 2 gets the inner part of the code. Encode URI component in line 4 is used to encode the string to URL by replacing the non-alphanumeric character to %HH or hexadecimal value. This is used in HTTP post request. Well, HTTP GET request was also used as GET request was the way to add friends in MySpace at that time. I'm going to start with a short demo now. So I'm here logged in as Samy. And by login from Samy's account, we are going to edit the HTML front end by inserting our code from Samy's profile. Once the code has been inserted, I'm now going to log in as Alice. Alice will visit Samy's profile, but not add Samy as friend. Notice that the activity shows Alice is now friend with Samy, and also the description shows Samy is my hero. Well, now I'm going to log in as Bobby, and Bobby does not visit Samy's profile. He visits Alice's profile. So on visiting Alice's profile, the activity log shows Bobby is friend with Samy. And Bobby's profile also shows Samy is my hero. Clearly, the Samy's worm code has been infected from Samy to Alice, from Alice to Bobby. Cross-site scripting is a type of injection attack that can be carried out to compromise users of a website. The exploitation of XSS vulnerability enables the attacker to inject malicious client-side scripts into the web pages viewed by users. These attacks are super common and very difficult to prevent holistically. This means that even when you have a framework to prevent these attacks, they still have chances of occurring. XSS has been on the list of OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities for quite some time. It has been top 7 since 2017, top 3 in 2013, and top 2 in 2010. XSS attack can impact the users of an organization or employees of the organization or both. and can have serious repercussions on the business. If employees of an organization become a victim of XSS attack, it might limit their ability to use the production web application. An organization can be impacted if the attackers successfully damage the website's ability to generate revenue. Presence of XSS can cause a significant PR damage. Attackers choose organizations that accommodate large online communities of users, such as social media websites, plugins, or online news sites. They can simply crash online businesses. As XSS is a client-side attack, it impacts the users first and can cause a decrease, therefore can cause a decreased customer base. The timing between identifying an XSS attack and resolving it is crucial. Well, according to a study on cost of cybercrime by Phenomenon Institute, the average time it took to resolve a cyber attack was about 32 days for the participating organizations and $32,000 per day. Therefore, the organizations that rely on internet-facing web applications as a part of production flow, XSS vulnerability is a major point of concern. As seen in this attack of last decades, data theft is a very significant cause of XSS attacks. There are 4 types of XSS vulnerabilities: stored XSS, XML-based, reflected XSS, and DOM XSS. Let's talk about reflected XSS. The reflected XSS just echoes back the unsanitized data into the web page. Notice in the image, we simply use the script tag and document.cookie. This will retrieve an alert message showing the victim's cookie. Reflected XSS occurs when user's input is immediately returned by a web application in an error message, search result, or other response. This response may include some or all of the inputs provided by the user as a part of the request because data was not sanitized before entering the browser. Let's talk about DOM XSS. Just like we saw in the case of Samy Worm attack, here as well we use the inner HTML that helps in giving the inner part of the code, and the data flow never leaves the browser. DOM XSS is very similar to reflected XSS, but with DOM, we are able to modify the web page document object model. DOM-based XSS is a form of XSS where entire tainted flow of data from source to sink takes place in the browser, which means that data flow never leaves the browser. For example, source could be the URL of the page, an element of the HTML, and sink could be a sensitive method call that causes the execution of malicious data. Stored XSS is another type of XSS. If you look into this example, unlike other XSS, here the malicious script sits inside the website's database. Stored XSS generally occurs when user input is stored on the target server, just like the database, in a message forum, visitor log, or comment field. And then when the victim visits the infected website, he or she retrieves the stored data from the web application. There have been a lot of XSS attacks in history. A few more recent attacks include TweetDeck, British Airways, Epic Games, and WordPress. TweetDeck was a social media application that helped in management of Twitter accounts. TweetDeck faced a series of cross-site scripting attacks in 2014. Most attacks were no more than irritation. Some attacks opened a pop-up and warning message in user's computer. One attack had a tweet that retweeted itself 38,000 times in 2 minutes. Another attack, just by viewing a malicious tweet, a user TweetDeck changed its font to Comic Sans. Since the flaws were harmless, there were no immediate losses, but ultimately TweetDeck had to shut down. British Airways attack happened in 2018. What do you think was the number of people who got affected by British Airways attack? Well, just comment in the chat box and you'll get the answer in the end of the slides. The stolen information included personal and payment information, but not passport information. Payment through the main website was affected, and the payment to mobile website was affected. On studying about it further, British Airways found that there was an XSS attack and the website's database was not affected. the attack only happened from 21 August 2018 to September 5, 2018. They further found that the attack took place as there was no iframe isolation of the BA payment page. The card number field resides on the top of the frame, as you can see on the screen. Furthermore, it was analyzed that if the card details were collected in a third-party domain iframe, it would have prevented the XSS attack. JavaScript files that may have been loaded in the main window would have not been able to access the contents of the third-party domain iframe. Well, in 2020, WordPress was targeted, and more than 900,000 people bloggers were targeted. The WordPress websites that use plugins like Easy to Map, Blog Designer, Newspaper Theme, and few others had several XSS security flaws, which were patched already but were not updated by the bloggers. One such attack was Ninja Forms. Ninja Forms was a drag and drop contact form creator in the WordPress content management system. This plugin accounts for over 1 million installations. XSS vulnerability was disclosed by WordPress threat intelligence team in 2020 April. According to cybersecurity researcher, it was a high severity flaw with CVSS score of 8.8, from having cross-site request forgery to stored XSS vulnerability in the legacy mode. We can definitely prevent this attack by using the following secure programming skills. First of all, developers should determine what is safe user input and reject all others, be it text, JavaScript, or any other unauthorized code. This is called sanitizing the user input. For example, using Markdown, developers can restrict text field to a certain character and limit the number of characters. The code should have checks to ensure improperly formatted data is never inserted into the HTML content of the web application. Website operators should carefully examine third-party web application providers to ensure their products have the right security measures in place. Website operators should test their own web application as well to ensure they are not vulnerable to such attacks. Continuous scanning of website in real time to detect any unauthorized code is another crucial thing to prevent such attacks. We should use modern web browsers like React to respond to data changes instantly. We learned that immediate victim of XSS are users, although the organization may get impacted and lose their business, but XSS impacts users first, leading to bad user experience and stolen data. Filters to eliminate HTML tags and script tags should never be turned off, which happened in the case of TweetDeck. A British Airways attack could have been prevented if they did a routine check and scan of website and third-party applications. And updating the plugins could have prevented the WordPress plugin attack. The vulnerability in WordPress plugins were already fixed, but the hackers managed to target the users of plugins who were still using the old version. Overall, the best defense is thorough and well-tested sanitization of any and all user input so that code is never inserted through a data channel. Thank you, everyone, and special thanks to Aarti and Jeevan and Betsy to help me prepare the presentation. Well, the wrong slide was slide number 10. XSS vulnerability does not have XML based. And there were 380,000 customers affected by British Airways attack.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Mridakshi. Are there questions on the chat? I'm looking here. Lalitha is saying that you did a similar project. Francois, content security policy is also theoretically useful. It is. Content security policies do help with cross-site scripting because it prevents code technically to come from unknown sources that you don't intend to, so that there's less of a chance of unknown code getting injected into your page. Are there other questions? Thanks for that talk. Absolutely, very well done. Fantastic, fantastic work. Really appreciate you taking the time and doing this for us, and hope to hear more from you, Mridakshi. Any other questions? Anyone want to ask anything else? Types of cross-site scripting, blind cross-site scripting, going once, going twice. All right. Sold. Thank you so much. We'll give you a virtual clap one more time. At this point, we were supposed to have an intermission, so until 7:10, it's the next round of fun and games. Jeevan, what you thinking? I'm going to stop the recording.